Hey guys, what's up? So, I thought I'd do another top 5 for you. This one is going to be one I've been thinking about doing for a while. Never really thought I would actually kind of get down to it and make it. Then I just decided I want to make something for my channel, and I want to make something that I already kind of have written down and thought of when I don't have a script. I'm doing this kind of off the top of my head like I always do, but kind of what I do with the basic idea written down beforehand, and then I will explain everything. This is my top 5 personal favorite Italian zombie films. Now, the Italians, now Italian horror in general has given us some great films. Films like The New York Ripper, and Suspiria, and Black Sabbath, and really anything by Mario Bava, or Argento, or Fulci. The genre has given us a lot. One of the genres that's, I'd say, has made a pretty decent mark, one subgenre of Italian horror, is the zombie genre. Surprisingly, there are, at least if you think zombie films from anywhere from the late 70s to the late 80s, there aren't a ton of them. I know there's a couple more that I don't think I've seen, but I'm sure that I've seen a good amount of them. So basically, I just want to go through and mention my top 5 favorites, and then we will wrap this whole thing up, and you guys can get on with your lives. That cool? Alright. Starting off at number 5, we have Burial Ground: Nights of Terror. A film that a lot of people consider to be one of the worst zombie films ever made, and I can completely agree. But it's also one of my favorite Italian zombie films, for many reasons. Some of the biggest reasons include the fact that they have a 5-year-old, I'm going to go ahead and say, but maybe at the maximum of a 10-year-old character being played by a 25-year-old actor, as well as a subplot about that exact 10-year-old wanting to have sex with his own mother. And there's really bad but still satisfying gore effects in the movie. There are scenes where people are absolutely torn apart, like they're missing limbs, and then they will come back from the dead as a zombie, and their limbs will still be attached, as if they were never absolutely fucking torn apart. That is amazingly bad. Now, this spot was originally going to be a tie between Burial Ground and Hell of the Living Dead, both films that are very cheesy, very bad zombie movies. But I decided to go with Burial Ground because I think Burial Ground is a little bit more cheesy, and Burial Ground has a bit more gore, and the zombies in Burial Ground aren't like people with makeup like they are in Hell of the Living Dead. They are literally people in masks, and to make it look like these zombies are eating flesh, they literally take the fake human flesh and rub it on the lips of the mask, and it does not look convincing at all. It is terrible, and I love it. Next, we have the legendary film that some people might not say is a zombie movie, but I honestly think it is. The film Demons. Now, Demons, you wouldn't expect by the title for this to be kind of a zombie movie. It's more of a demonic possession movie, but it's more of a demonic possession movie in the same way that Evil Dead is a zombie movie and or a demonic possession movie. It's very loose on the terms. I still put it in the zombie genre just because. When I try to explain Demons to people, I really just say, like, it's a 80s, like, splatter Italian film where it's like Evil Dead, except it's in a movie theater. And that's the best way I can describe it to people. I'd honestly say it's a good combination of, like, the Video Dead and Popcorn and, what was that other one? Video Dead, Popcorn. I was literally just talking about Video Dead, Popcorn, and The Evil Dead. Very similar to all three of those. It's like all three of those combined. Video Dead basically being that the reason there's demons slash zombies in this movie theater is because the film itself that they're playing it somehow. The demons get out of the film and get into the movie theater, much like how the zombies come out of the TV in the Video Dead. Like I said, with the Evil Dead, it's literally basically the same movie, just set in a movie theater with different characters and a lot more characters and a lot more gore, but. And, shit, I can't even... Oh, and Popcorn, mainly because Popcorn is a slasher film set in a movie theater. I could have easily have also said midnight movie for this, so it doesn't matter either way. Very, very solid, very entertaining, violent. Reason it's not that high is because even though it is, like, really, like a really, really good movie, it just doesn't have the suspense that the next film on the list has, and it's not as purely entertaining as the last two movies. Okay, now we've got it going. We got the blood pumping. So we get on to a film now. When I originally made this list, it was going to have like 3 Lucio Fulci films on it, and as well as 2 Umberto Bava movies on it. But I figured I'd not do that because I just figured let's not put multiple movies from the same director. So this spot is actually tied between 2 Lucio Fulci films. The first Lucio Fulci film I ever saw when I was probably about 13 or 14 years old. Maybe even 15 or 16. I don't really remember, but it was City of the Living Dead. City of the Living Dead is a zombie movie involving a priest who commits suicide and becomes a zombie priest who teleports around and makes people cry blood and vomit their own intestines. Also, because this priest committed suicide on holy ground, zombies are rising from their graves and killing people. There's also a zombie, like horribly rotted zombie baby. Just at least not zombie baby, but dead baby in this movie. When I first saw it, it didn't really, get to me. Like, I didn't really get the atmosphere, and I didn't think it was that good of a movie, just because it wasn't that gory. But looking back, honestly, it might be one of my favorite Lucio Fulci films. It's got some cool gore scenes, and the atmosphere is got the kind of strange, surreal Fulci atmosphere at 100% on point. The other one that this is tied with is City of the Living Dead, not City of the Living Dead, god damn it, House by the Cemetery, another entry in the Gates of Hell trilogy. House by the Cemetery is another Fulci film that I would say is up there with my all-time favorite Fulci films. But it's an interesting little film, basically about this family that moves into this old house that happens to be by a cemetery, where a guy killed himself after slaughtering his wife in that house, and there's someone killing people in the house. Now, this is another film much like Demons, where it could be said like, oh, this isn't a zombie film. This is more of a slasher suspense kind of supernatural horror. And much like City of the Living Dead, like City of the Living Dead, it's got the good gore, and it's got a creepy atmosphere, and just the vibe and atmosphere and the suspense in this film is all over the place. Also, the music is absolutely fantastic. That's really all I have to say about this one, about these 2 films. So, yeah, like I said, at this spot we have City of the Living Dead and House by the Cemetery. Next, we got one that's called Nightmare City. Now, Nightmare City, directed by Umberto Lenzi. Umberto Lenzi, goddamn. This guy directed, Cannibal Ferox, a film that I really don't think is that good. Then he directed Ghost House, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Then he directed Nightmare City. Nightmare City, also known as City of the Walking Dead, is a zombie movie that is really interesting in the way the whole thing plays out, in the way also in the way the origins of the zombies. I mean, there are a lot of zombie movies out there where they don't give you the origin of the virus or the reason that these zombies are coming out of the ground or anything like that. They don't give you a reason. In this film, they do, and it's kind of reasonable. Basically, in this film, a plane gets hit by radiation, and everybody becomes irradiated mutants, kind of like ghouls in Fallout. But they're more like zombie-like, and they eat human flesh. Really, really violent, nasty movie. It doesn't have the same suspense that, like, House by the Cemetery or City of the Living Dead does, but it's got more gore, and it's overall just a lot more of an entertaining movie. It has actually been a while since I've watched City of the Living Dead. I think I might watch that one tonight. But I remember really, really enjoying this movie, really loving it. And I can't really remember why. I just remember that because it was kind of like ghouls from Fallout. And something else I heard that's really, really cool. Tom Savini, the guy who did the gore effects for like Friday the 13th, Maniac, The Burning, he is actually working on a remake of City of the Living Dead in collaboration with Umberto Lenzi, and that is absolutely amazing, because if there's anybody who could remake like a classic, lesser known zombie film like Nightmare City and do a good job, it's somebody like Tom Savini. Now we sit at the number one spot. The number one spot, my all-time favorite Italian zombie film, is Zombie Holocaust, also known as Dr. Butcher MD. This is one of the ones that some people might say that it isn't a zombie film as much as it is like a kind of giallo cannibal hybrid with a little bit of like science fiction thrown in. The movie basically centers on these people who are part of a cannibal tribe that somehow get into New York and start killing and eating people, and then they travel because they saw one of these sacred symbols of this tribe at one of the crime scenes. They decide to travel to South America, where this doctor went, and this doctor is like absolutely insane, and he's been experimenting on the cannibals there, and the cannibals also kill people in this movie, and then the zombies show up just out of nowhere and start killing people. It's almost beautiful how just sudden and absurd, like how suddenly things happen and how absurdly the film plays out. Like literally, it goes from a kind of like dark, cheesy giallo, ritualistic kind of cannibalistic killer in the city kind of film. Then it goes from that to a jungle adventure and or cannibal film, then to a zombie film, then to an almost like Frankenstein-like film, and then the movie just ends. It is so beautifully absurd and violent, and it is probably one of the most violent Italian zombie films. Like, I honestly think this film is far more gory than Lucio Fulci's Zombie. No disrespect to Fulci's Zombie, but I think, but like I said when I was talking about demons, the only reason this is at number one is because of how amazingly just bad and violent and absurd it is. Like, if I find a movie that's a bit more absurd and violent and goofy, that's an Italian zombie film, or if I find maybe another film in Lucio Fulci's filmography that I think is like that might be my new favorite from him, it might beat this film, but I don't see anything beating fucking Dr. Butcher MD Zombie Holocaust anytime soon, because it is just so much fun to watch. Highly recommend it, and you guys have a good one. Peace.